Welcome to Essential Talks. Myself and Josh here to talk about fear of failure is going to be the first thing we're going to talk about, and then we're going to see where it takes us. As usual, there's no scripts. We're just sort of spitballing and seeing what comes to mind. Who wants to get us going?
Well, it's a running theme, isn't there, Jay?
I'm going to get us going. So, I think the underlying thing when we look at fear of failure is it stops a lot of people from starting their journey or thing or whatever it is they're doing, which is a funny thing because failure is the end result of the process. And if you focus on that, you're not even starting the process and you don't know the thing. So the end result of failure is stopping the start of it.
And how do you know you're going to fail?
Exactly. If we looked into a crystal ball and was like, okay, here's you doing this and you're going to succeed, you'll be like, fuck, I'm all in.
Get me involved.
I'm all into this because you know that you're going to succeed. So it's almost like a little bit of NLP, that sort of stuff where they do a lot of imagery and a lot of sort of reframing of your goals and stuff where you almost, you see yourself putting on that medal or you'll see yourself in that physique before it's even happened, and you spin that as a positive thing. But people will do that on the negative side and they will see themselves losing or failure or not living up to expectations, and that stops them from getting going from day one.
Do you feel like that's because maybe some people's goals are unrealistic?
I think there's a fine line between being realistic enough that it is achievable, but also unrealistic enough that it puts the pressure on you.
Yeah, putting too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah, because I think you can go one or two ways. Like if my goal was to lose 1 kilo over 4 weeks or something like this, that, where it's not that big of a goal, I'm not going to be taking it so seriously.
Yeah, I suppose.
Whereas if it was like, a 20-week prep where I've got to lose 10 plus, get as shredded as I can be, whilst generating some strength and this,
still doing all the other daily activities.
then all that pressure.
Yeah.
And there is a fine way. I mean, you can utilise pressure. Do you think a lot of people set unrealistic goals in terms? Is that what you say?
I feel like some people, obviously they see a lot of on social media and things, and they might say, well, if they can do it, why can't I do it? And then they might say, well, I want to look like that, or I want to do what he's doing, but maybe it might be a little bit unrealistic for what the stage that they're at.
Yeah.
And then they've just put far too much pressure on themselves. They do everything they can to get there, and then they might be a bit disheartened that it's not happening as quick as they like.
Yeah.
And then they think they're a failure when really they're not. And then when it comes to starting it again, they're fearing what they've done before and they fear that failure.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's a way of seeing it, I suppose. What sort of saying like, because you've walked this path and it didn't work out so well.
Yeah, what's to say that you can't do it again and get beyond that obstacle?
Yeah.
Which way about do you need to go about it so that you don't get to that? Or how do you reframe, like you say, reframing your thinking to, was that really failure? Or is that now setting you up for success the next time? Yeah,
and it's sort of like that, and it's never where, if we keep it on trend with people that we work with for fat loss and stuff. I know I've worked with some people before who have lost an incredible amount of body fat, and then they go back to putting it back on, and then they're looking at all this shit they've got to do again. They know how hard it was, but I spin that and say it's like when you get out. I love an analogy at the moment. I love it when so you go up to a jungle, a dense fucking jungle,
right,
and you're cutting. There's no way through. So you've got a machete. You've got to smash your way through the jungle and create this fresh new path. Yep. But then something happens and you get all nearly to the centre of the jungle where you need to go, and then you hear your mum calling you in the jungle or something. So you've got to turn around. You've got to go back. Yeah. So you're now out of the path. You've now fallen back. Well, then you're like, fuck, okay, right, that's over. I can go back to my journey now. You get back to the edge of the jungle.
I see where you're going with this.
And then you're looking, and then, okay, you see your path that you made, but there's just a few sort of weeds and stuff there. So you've just got to sort of brush them away as you go through. So it's a lot easier to get back on it. How was that?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. so that it's not, you don't then have to go and repeat the same stuff or work as hard to get to the same. You still have to work, so getting to that point, but it's not going to be as hard.
Yeah.
And then obviously if your mum doesn't call you, you can keep going and get even further.
And then, the mum bit was not right. I just trying to need the
I'm not
reason
sure
for
why your mum's
to
near
get
the
out.
jungle as well,
but then what you said as well about, so this time down through the jungle path, you might find a better way to do it, and you might learn something else that lets you go further. Because this time you might be like, oh fuck, I had the wrong boots on last time, so this time I'm gonna have better boots on. And that's going to let me go further. I'm going to sharpen my blade.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe the blade went a bit blunt.
Yeah, man, like them sort of things. So you definitely can learn more going forward the second time round. You know, I know myself, I've just had, to get the violins out, I was supposed to compete in a powerlifting competition, not last weekend, the weekend before, and I come down with COVID. And you didn't have to isolate, but I was in bed, hit me hard. Literally, it was like one day isolated, and it was like to the illness, and it was the day that I needed to compete, and it was just, weren't gonna happen. And it's like, I got to the very top of this hill, I was about to put the fucking flag on it, and then I've fallen down, and I was like, shit, now I've got to do it all again. But this time round...
Yeah, I suppose that's not in the realms of failure, is it? But
it's out of my control.
Yeah, exactly. You're controlling the controllables, and unfortunately, you know, COVID struck again.
Yeah.
And fucked it all up.
And it was out of my control completely. Like, I think a lot of people...
But then I suppose on topic, it's like, well, you're not going to fear having to go through that process again. You're just going to get back on it and do what you can to get to the back of that hill and put the flag in.
100%. Oh, well, I'm going to fucking do it, you know. You know.
You do.
But I will. This time, like one leg.
I don't want to know anything about it
COVID,
until
whatever.
day.
I'm doing it. Like I'll just bench the bar if I have to. It's fine. Just do it. But at the same time, it's like I would message my coach, and I spoke to Bailey on Monday when I sort of day one again, and I haven't had that relief from competing. It's like I had this competition in my head. It was about to go through, and I was excited to compete because you've got the chance of hitting PBs.
Man, you even went there and
I know.
Weighed in.
I weighed in, the whole shebang, and then the last hurdle. And it's like, I would have done the comp, I would have enjoyed it and stuff, of course, but almost that relief when it's done, and now it's not, because I've had to book onto my next one, prep mine, straight back in, and then back on.
It's good though, because you don't give yourself to sit there and ponder about it. It's just...
You have to make some changes.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And that's the same with like the guys that you're talking about that come in here, that they might get to a certain stage where they might start to see some results, and then it slows down again.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, why is it not happening as quick as it did in the last however many weeks? And then they might give up.
Yeah.
But then what's to say that they won't get to that point again and then go even further?
Yeah.
And it's maybe that point of like, I'm not seeing what I want to see.
I know. And it's like, I just caught myself saying something then. When I watch back the videos, when we're talking, I always go, I know. And I just said it, and I was like, I need to stop saying that. Made me laugh.
It's just us, Joe. It's just us in the room. Don't worry about that.
I know, but it's funny. When
you wouldn't talk to me like that.
Yeah, I know. I said it again, I know. When we're doing training and stuff, a lot of people that I've worked with, they have to do a lot of work behind the scenes without nothing happening, and then all of a sudden it happens. Like, have you seen that little picture of the guy with the mining thing and the diamonds right behind it?
Yeah.
And it's like
one guy turns back.
Yeah, and the other guy's just about to hit it. And it's like sometimes you have to do a lot of work in the shadows, what I say, to see anything. Like it's not with this stuff, it's not like cool. It's the bit of delayed gratification. Like you have to do a lot of stuff to see the results.
Yeah.
In a long-term way.
Yeah, like people, if it's not satisfying, some people stop, don't they? But
yes.
They need to do the unsatisfying things to get that, like you say, the delayed gratification.
Yeah, and I think that's really powerful, delayed gratification. It comes down to a lot of things in terms of people always want that instant feedback.
They want it yesterday.
Yes, they want it yesterday and then some more.
Yeah.
You know, when really, and they've only been doing it for a week. But it comes down to where we've conditioned to a lot of, you know, smartphone out, social media, dopamine hit, boom.
Yeah.
sugary food, eat it, dopamine hit, boom. You know,
So the instant relief or whatever you want to call it,
and that's what we're looking for. That's what people expect,
rather than putting in the hard work and
Yeah.
getting the delayed gratification.
But when you do it and when you go through that so many times, you solidify in your like fucking neural writing that it feels so much better. You know, and when it works and you see people on this fat loss phase and they say, okay, no, last time I panicked, you know, and because I thought it wasn't working, but then a couple of days later I had a nice drop, you know, or my weights went up, what I was doing. So the more you do it, the more you learn and you solidify that, you know, it comes in waves, it comes in cycles.
I suppose that's like what we were spoken about before with the process as well, just focus on the process and not the outcome.
Yeah,
That comes into play as well.
100%. And especially if you know what you're doing or who you're working with is preaching the right stuff. You know, if you're working with, you know, I like to think people trust us, I know they do. You're working with coaches that have produced results and, you know, you've come for a referral and you know the way they work and all this stuff, you've got to trust them.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to, if you're paying this person this money and you're expecting them to be their coach, you can't question anything what they're doing.
Right. And they wouldn't tell you to do it if they didn't believe in it.
Exactly. You know,
I wouldn't tell anyone to do something I wouldn't do
No.
unless they really need to.
Yeah, and that's right.
But we're all different, so their you know, help might be different to what I need in terms of help or journey, but I still wouldn't get anyone to do, say if I was in their boots, I wouldn't get anyone to do that, what I wouldn't want to do.
Yeah, like you wouldn't be prepared to cut.
Or what I don't believe in.
Yes, yeah. That you wouldn't be prepared to cut out, like if it come to it, you wouldn't cut out a whole food group because you don't believe in it.
No.
And you wouldn't want to.
I wouldn't say to someone stop eating carbs
Yeah.
or, you know, go and do a load of cardio.
I know.
And don't come in the gym.
And I think that's it, you know, you've got to, we're very on coaches now on that topic, but you've got to practice what you preach.
Yeah.
You can't be a car salesman that rides a bicycle to work.
Can you not?
Well, you could, but like if you didn't, like if I'm selling a car to you and then you go, oh, what one of these do you drive? Say, I don't drive cars, don't believe in them, I've got that bike out there.
Yeah, okay.
You know, you're going to be like, well, that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Same thing with this. And that's why I always say about a coach should have a coach. You know, I know you've said that as well in the past. How can we help people with a service that we're not buying into ourselves?
Yeah.
It makes no sense, right? You know, letting someone...
Because otherwise we wouldn't understand the investment that they're making.
Exactly.
And we understand that some of the sacrifices, some of the commitments that you have to make, and having somebody who you're accountable to,
Yep.
we need to understand where they're coming from.
100%.
Yeah.
And then with that, you know, they're looking in, from a coach's perspective, when you're looking in at your client or your trainee's, you know, plan, you're looking at it detached and from an unemotional thing. When you're in it, like if you're really hard dieting, you're tired and you're looking at your plan, you might make some changes biased to how you're feeling emotionally. Whereas a coach is going to be looking like, I know you're tired right now,
Yeah.
feeling shit, but now's the time to push on. Like we're doing really well.
Or the opposite.
Or the opposite. You know, now's the time to back off. I know you want this, but right now we're not hitting on the mark. Let's back off, add some more food in, chill out a little bit, and then we can reinitiate a couple of weeks down the line. And I think that's where a coach really, really comes into play in terms of things. And then looping it...
how would we then come into the failure?
Yeah, so looping it all the way back to, you know, fear of failure, a coach's job can be to reframe and really reconfirm and reassure that, no, this is, we're doing fine right now.
Yeah.
You know, you're on track to achieve this. And
you might think you're not doing the right thing or you're not achieving great things, but you are.
Yeah.
And then it comes back to the guy in the landmine with the
pickaxe.
Yeah. So they just don't know where they're at. They could be this close, they could be that close, but turning around is not going to get them any closer.
Never.
And even if you do fail, it's paving the way to success. What are you going to learn if you don't fail?
There's something to learn out of everything.
Everything, you know, and I know I spoke about this to you before we came here, but when I was going through my Eurotest, which is something I found really hard with the skiing, was there was one coach, and he always used to say, you know, don't be afraid of failure. You know, if you go into it and you think you're going to fail, you know, you might come out surprised, but if not, I know your expectations. We don't want to talk about expectations because we can't predict anything. But if you went in there, I know you might think, well, you're going in there, you expect to fail, you're going to fail. But it was, if you fail, okay, get back on, do what you need to do to work even harder.
Yeah.
You know, and you will learn from that experience you've had where you failed.
Yeah.
And for me, I got knocked down 13 times.
Really?
13 times. And, well, 12 times. On the 13th time, I picked myself up and I passed it.
And that is literally,
after 5 times, I could have said, you know what?
Not for me.
Not for me. But I knew that I wanted to get there and I wanted to work in France and I wanted to pass this thing. And also I wanted to prove myself that I could do it.
Yeah.
And I just kept getting back up and kept doing it.
It's like you get knocked down 9 times, you get up 10.
Yeah.
Did you ever have, obviously, you know, you said then about you could have left it after 5, imposter syndrome? You know, where you have that self-doubt that, you know, oh, is this really for me?
But then
Like, should I be a ski instructor? Should I not, or should I be a PT? Am I a bit out of my?
But then, you know, in terms of the growth mindset, if you don't feel that, what you just said, then how do you know you're challenging yourself?
Yep.
Do you want to stay in your comfort zone?
No.
Or do you want to grow outside of it? So
yeah.
Self-doubt, listen to self-doubt, always listen to self-doubt.
Everything can be utilised in a way, can't it?
100%, and it's just the way that you perceive it. If you perceive it in a negative way, it's going to have a negative impact on you.
It's deep, bro.
And it's just flipping that switch.
Yeah, 100%.
And, you know, I'm quite an emotional guy, and when I passed that on that day, I remember being on tears on the phone to my dad.
Amazing.
Like, Dad, you'll never believe what's just happened. I don't even think they knew I was there because I didn't want anyone to know about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was quite an emotional day, and yeah, God, it's making me a bit. But yeah, it was a huge achievement.
Yeah.
Because I always thought, you know, it was out of my reach, way out of my reach. But I just had to keep going, keep my head down, and keep doing it.
And that's brilliant. You know, you can, and it shows how much that meant to you because you can feel the emotion coming back and stuff. You know, and when you can, that's probably why, because you were so emotionally attached to it and you wanted that so much. Imagine if you could take that and put that on a load of your guys and girls on their goals.
Yeah.
You know, like that they make this shit, that fucking end physique that you want or whatever.
Yeah, and I've put that now on this. You know, like I know I've been working with Ryan for the physique thing. It's like, well, anything's possible if you just keep working at it and, you know, don't fear the failure, just go for it. See what happens. If you fail, get back on it, do it again.
And regardless...
And don't put too much pressure on yourself, like you said at the start.
Yeah.
Like, this is completely new to me, so why would I expect to be really good at it when I've never done it before?
But all you can do is, you can just do... And I know you've got the work rate of a fucking horse, mate. You know, you don't stop. You know, it's just like train after train after train. Nothing's too much. No work's too much or whatever. And you just got to do that and not worry about anything. And if you like, whatever, you're going to be the best you can be. If you say like, literally, I've ticked every meal, every macro, every calorie, every rep, every step, every ounce of recovery, every bit of posing practice or whatever it is, you've ticked all them boxes. You say, guys, I'm this is me.
Yeah.
Like I could not have bought a better package to the stage.
If it's not good enough, I don't care because I know the work that I've put in.
Very self-development sport, bodybuilding and strength game, and most things, but especially in this stuff.
Even fat loss, self-development.
Oh, so self-development.
Massively. Like, just seeing people change. Like, people don't actually realise like what we see when they first come in to when they've achieved something, how different they actually are. Like, they are a different person. They might not think it, but they have completely transformed. And
it is literally that. And I'm thinking of one girl in particular right now who I'm training, who is literally that internal fucking change. And what started off as a little fat loss thing has turned into so much more.
It's turned into a hobby.
It's turned into a hobby. It's turned into that
A different way of life.
transformative sort of mental thing that you're actually better at. And people read this, watch this, thinking, oh, these two meatheads saying that gym changes their life, these motherfuckers. But it fucking does. The battle that you fight in terms of your nutrition and your training and all this stuff will apply in the outside world.
Yeah.
It is a direct link. It's not even like round, it's a fucking direct link, A and B. There is no closer comparison to it. And there's no, there's something to be said, when working with guys and girls, and then they come in, oh, I've got a promotion at work today, oh, I've just done this, I've just done that. Well, these same guys and girls are the ones that are better in their performance and their body, and they're just taking them same fucking principles and smashing them in another thingy.
Yeah.
And go on.
I was just going to say, they don't give themselves enough credit for it.
No, they don't. And I think as well, I need to, now listening to that, I need to go and tell
We all could. It's the whole practice what you preach.
Yeah.
It just goes round and round and round.
I know. It's like a snake eating its own tail. What's that called? That's called.
It's another one.
It's called, yeah, it's a snake. It's called something.
The king of analogies here.
Analogy man, innit? So yeah, I mean, we've gone a little bit round the woods there, but I felt like that was needed.
Yeah.
That was definitely needed to talk about.
A bit emotional as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it did. Listen guys, you come here, we got emotion, we got training, we got food, got a fucking lot. Have you got anything else to add, mate? Final few words or something?
Probably just based on what you said at the start, like if you are starting out or if you're going somewhere and you might not feel like it's going somewhere, you're not failing. You're putting in the work that you need to transform and change your life, and just don't put too much pressure on yourself. Like you see when we come here and work with guys here, we just break it down bit by bit by bit by bit. Yes, there's an end goal in the background, but just work step by step, one foot in front of the other, and that way you're not going to fail.
Love it. Nice, powerful. Good shit. We'll call it there, guys. Thank you for watching. There's been a little brief hiatus in the posting of these, and we're going to try and get the next few out pronto. This is just because I was unwell, had a backup of things, and it's my fault, I dropped the ball, it's fine, but we're back on it now, and it's all good, and we're going to give you more stuff than ever. So thanks for watching.